All the love, all the hearts.
See my girl Anika, 8:30. It's about to be
8:30, guys. It's 8:30. It's our 30. It's 8:30.
It's
Yes.
almost time. All the hearts, all the love. Yes, y'all, it is time. It's time.
Yes.
I'm so excited. So excited. You have to join y'all. It's a vibe. You have to. You have to. Right? Body rock with it. Old school. Hey, hey, hey.
Yes. That's what I'm talking about. As soon as I heard that song, I said, they're not ready for her, but she ready, honey.
Very
She
much
is.
so. Very much so. What? But everybody's going to be ready though. By the end of our conversation, they'll say, okay. They'll be ready. No worries.
Y'all gonna be ready. Y'all hear that? She said, y'all gonna be ready. Okay? So y'all better get ready. Come on in. Come on in. It is Friday Night Live with the Anika Seals Jones, honey, from Holistic Fluency, woman-owned business. Okay, certified. All right. You see, you see that? You see that?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Okay, HU. Shout out to my fellow bison.
Okay.
Yes, Holistic Fluency. We're getting ready for our subscription box launch. Recipes, a rite of passage, so much really good things to discuss tonight. So good.
I'm so excited. Like, I'm just trying to, like, you know me, I usually have a lot of energy, but it's like a different energy because you caught the week of interviews on the shift, honey. The shift is here.
It is. It's pure countdown mode. It's less than 10. I know that. Don't play when I get to less than 5, right?
Let's talk about that.
So look, I know one of the questions we were going to talk about is how am I keeping my momentum going and just my spirit up and everything in May. And honestly, usually like post testing season is one of my favorite times of year. You can have some of the most authentic conversations with young people because why? As an educator, maybe the standards and the state test, right? The high stakes exam is past you. Right, the kids are more relaxed, like, ooh, a miss is done. So you can really have some really shifting life moments. Let me prepare you for that next phase kind of conversation in May. And be clear, this particular May, right, what Robin and I are excited about is we are full-time in our consultancy. So again, as I prepare to launch the subscription box, there's so much good work, so much good conversations coming up. Y'all are going to hear from some of my former students soon. They're grown. My first kids are like 26. So 26 all the way down to some of my high school seniors and juniors. Y'all get to hear from and hear their reflections. So I'm just so full, honestly, just so full.
Gosh.
I'm breezing through May. My word today was ease, and that is my spirit, truly, in my heart today, just ease, really and truly.
Wow. See, this is how we do it like that. This is why she's on the shift week. This is the week of interviews where like we didn't go into another level. I know you might be trying to catch up from last month, and that was all good gravy. It was amazing. We were getting our education healing, and we were talking to some amazing people with their journey. But you on a shift week. That means it's a new level.
It is, right? Almost like driving the car, truly. But even though I'm shifting up, I'm switching gears. It is not, it's ready like to coast on the road. You know how you have to kind of shift gears a little bit, but you're about to hit that sweet spot. You're going to kick it up a level, but it's like wide open road. That's how I feel right now. That's how I feel right there. Yes.
It's the lyrical language, honey, that you have. That's what it is for me.
I told you that, sometimes I really will feel like I should drop a mixtape at any moment because maybe, now I have a lot to say, obviously, but maybe I could be a part-time rapper. No, I'm just kidding. No, but
listen, we can make anything happen within what we're doing, right? And that's the beauty of education. That's the beauty of educational consulting. We are not putting ourselves in a box, and nor do we want people that work with us or listen to us or follow us or anything or talk with us to think that they need to ever be put in a box, right?
Ever. Too much talent, too many wills. I love to talk about multiple intelligences and all the different ways that creativity even shows up. one thing you're making me think about that there's, like the child or maybe a person, that's like super positive, or sometimes some people are sick of it, like it's sickening to them, like, oh my God. But please be clear, like reframing, that's its own skill set. They're really reframing while you're like, why are they always so positive? There is nothing to be positive about. And reframing again calls for some creativity and analysis. Don't play with me tonight. Not tonight. Not this Friday night.
This is why. So I said, when you come on here, I just want you to flow and be you, because I already know it's about to be amazing. And I was that child when I was younger. I was the one walking around, even in high school. Like they're like, "Why are you so happy, Queen? Why are you so happy? I mean, you're always happy. Why are you smiling?" I used to feel some type of way because, or feel like is something wrong with me because I'm smiling.
Like it was
I'm happy.
Like they kind of slighted you about
it. I had to work through that.
My nickname in high school was Opti, for optimistic. So I get it. But like you said, walking around, and you know what, Robin, that's why we vibe. We always like to connect on music, because I always feel like sometimes I sing songs, right? Certain things remind me of songs because life is a soundtrack. And I do feel like everyone truly has their own theme song, something that is just connecting to them, touching them forever, always, always, forever.
Are y'all catching this stuff? I need a note taker in the chat. If somebody can be a note taker in the chat, that would be amazing.
Meeting minutes, y'all. We need some meeting minutes, y'all. Tasha, you on it? Hey, Tash.
Y'all not ready. So here's the thing. Here's the vibe that we have. Like we just be like and flow, and sometimes that's even a thing. Like they be like, Queen, slow down. When you find somebody who's gonna be like blah, 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 right with you, you better get with them, and you better tell them to slow down and say, hold on, let me catch some of that, because we can just keep going. And I really want to say, like, I feel that vibe and that energy. So as we're shifting and moving into like momentum in our lives and in the world right now, we really have to stop and catch some things, because stuff is happening like this. Like this, dreams are coming true like this. It's time. It is time for you to. There is literally, I believe there is a shift, Anika.
There is.
In the earth, in the atmosphere.
There is. So look, you're making me think about it. I know I'm supposed to take it back, right? Like start from the beginning. How did I get here? How did I choose to do this work? I'm literally, look, I need to turn. I'm literally sitting on the edge of my seat. So let me adjust myself really quickly. I'm super excited. So, born in California, New Orleans raised. So you were talking about speaking quickly. I do know that, yes, Robin, I too have to slow myself down, right? Because that's definitely that New Orleans girl. When I get excited, I start speaking very quickly. Students know, other people that really know me, like, what? That's that New Orleans, that's that Creole, that Cajun patois. Ma'am? What time? What's going on? But that's how you know when you're really getting the essence of me, when you hear that fullness, right? Honestly, I fought teaching for a bit. I kind of thought about it. My mom's a social worker. My dad was an electrical engineer. I was kind of like, mom, the hours mom would work and everything. And it was fun to help, and it was fun to work with kids. But I was like, no, I think I want to be a businesswoman. So again, shout out to Tam. I went to the illustrious Howard University, right? And studied international marketing. So worked in sales and things for a while, but then still eventually, right, the teaching bug was kind of over here. And I'm like, no, leave me alone. But it was there, and that's really where I was supposed to be. So you take that social worker, the electrical engineer, you get a math teacher. You do, truly. So, but not really knowing what to call it quite yet. SEL was always in me. I was always doing that. I was always doing that work. Even when I taught math, we would talk about it Thursdays. So we talked about anything from college and how your schedule works, what college life is like, to people getting ulcers from Takis. Just like the craziest things, but it was whatever they wanted to talk about. So maybe their do now, their bell ringer was implementing, just more relationship building things like, hey, how did you get your name? What's one of your favorite quotes to live by? Things like that. So just constantly reinforcing little push-ins, right, to continue to build that relationship versus those 2 weeks at the beginning, and then we press pause forever, indefinitely, right? So no, that just didn't make sense. We just kept going and going and going. But I don't know. So now walking into this consultancy, right, being an official education consultant, it makes sense. It just clicks. Everything is making sense. I know that is divine appointments and orchestration at this point, because it's first taken two major areas of my life, right? Business. And then I've been an educator for over 14 years now. So truly bringing them together. So I understand business side, I understand marketing, but clearly I've built all of this expertise with different levels of young people, right? All this knowledge, all these different things people will call upon me for, to help the new teacher, to help the veteran teacher, to get some systems and routines in place, to this teacher's having a hard time connecting with their students. Mrs. Jones, what ideas do you have? Can they come sit in your class? Can they shadow you for a day? Then having the reflection on the opposite side, like it's just truly just in me. It is, I talk about my family a lot. So, not just my husband and my son, but my cousins, my aunties. I come from a large family. So we are truly a community. Everybody brings something different to the table, right? I believe in synergy, that not 3 + 3 being 6, but 3 cubed, right? Being 27, because that's how.
Honey,
Right?
I know that's right.
Right.
I know that's right.
Like we grow and we work exponentially when we work together. The impact is exponential. You know what? And since we're there, and I'm a former math teacher only, then I have to speak on it. So while we're doing the work, while we're focusing on those things, we need to be open to different approaches and different ways to get there, right? Yeah, we know 2 + 2 is 4, but so is -7 + 3. So is 1 + 3. I mean, so just being open to all the different ways and all the different avenues, especially Robin, cosign. And this consultant life is not linear. So we have to be open to a lot of different ways to get there.
At all. At all. It'll stretch you, honey. It'll stretch
Yes,
you.
yes.
I'm looking at all the love in the chat, and I'm just really excited about just who you are and the energy you bring. One of the things you said, when you get to see the essence of you, that is the core. So if you're just tuning in, you are tuning in on Everybody Educate LLC, where we are talking to the one and only Anika Seals Jones from Holistic Fluency. And she is giving us the essence of who she is, where she has come from, who her family is, why she does what she does, and how, you can be better and ready to move on in momentum with a mindset of growth, right? Growth mindset, moving with a growth mindset and having that momentum by doing the work, and how it all connects to her journey, her story. And it's so powerful, just the words that are coming out of her mouth. So I just wanted to say welcome. And if you did not see the beginning and you're not here, we were starting right from the start. Make sure you go back and listen to the replay. Put some comments in here. If you have some questions for her, right now we have such a brilliant woman that is in our midst, that really she can answer questions for you right on the spot. So I'm gonna shift my interview a little bit this time. If you have questions for Anika, because there's something so beautiful about your business and how it encompasses what you just shared about your family, about where you've come from. And I want you to talk a little bit about that. And I want you all to ask her some questions because she's a big one of things. Okay. I'm throwing that in there.
No, Robin, look, a lot of things you said, I was like, oh, I want to talk about that. Yes, I want to talk about this. So one of the things you say, growth mindset. And recently I was reflecting, and I shared with a couple of people that, how growth, the essence of growth mindset is not yet, right? Like, oh, I didn't get it yet. Oh, I didn't learn this yet. So also growth mindset, the other side of the coin that we don't often talk about is the why we didn't get it yet. And that's grown people life. That's adult life, real adulting, 101 right there, right? But why we didn't get it yet. At one point, Robin, I was looking and seeking to be a counselor. And so they literally in the midst of me working towards that, the legislation changed where instead of maybe 12 hours, I was going to have to get 60 hours. And I was like, well, time out, y'all. Wait, this is almost 2 masters, and that's almost a whole nother undergrad degree. And it was just a lot. But it hit me literally this week on Tuesday, to be specific, that The reason I didn't like that didn't work out and that timing didn't work out is because I would be comfortable in that job, and the purpose and plan and the direction I was supposed to go was shifting. So imagine I would have been over there, and even as distraught as I was, but God said, nope, right? Because I'm that child that because I'm optimistic, Robin, like what we talked about, I'm gonna find that silver lining, right? It can be an absolutely terrible situation, but I'm gonna find that silver lining. And so he's like, no, no, I have to make it absolutely crazy and unbearable. So you go over here where I need you to be. All right. Okay. So learn that lesson now, right? Prayed about, recognize the signs much more easily. So I don't have to go.
That right there.
Mhm.
So we're talking a little bit about the season is a shifting season. Lots is happening, but you said something so key that I want you to go like hone in on. And I want, everyone who is watching, I want you to think about this too. And, what are your thoughts around this? Staying in a space too long, getting comfortable and staying in a space too long and missing a shift. How do we know when it's time to shift? Put your comments in the chat. Like, how do you know when it's time to shift? And I really want to know, like, for you, how did you know? How did God like give you that divine? I see somebody in the chat said that divine rejection leading you to where you're really supposed to.
Hey, Dar. But just and that's so listen. So I know y'all think that I'm the words girl, but Darby is an author. So no, that's the one. Okay, that one right there. It's Darby. Yes, ma'am.
Chime in, Darby. Yes. I love it.
But I just feel like things are kind of hectic, like stuff that normally like you can do like with your eyes closed, it just falls into place and all of a sudden, well, why didn't that go how it was supposed to go? Well, that should have worked out and lined up, but why didn't it? Right? I've been here. So things that you felt like you can count on and things just being really smooth, it gets tumultuous. It gets wild and crazy. So, but as he's getting, that's God getting our attention to say, hey, I told you we're doing something different. I told you we're going this way. We're shifting, right? Are you ready? Get your mind right. Like we stay at home and get ready.
And look, Tasha says, and hey, Tosh, she said, and I did now. I done shifted right on out the door. Honey, come on. It is not time to be worried about people's feelings, what they think about you. Whenever God has you to shift, it is time to shift because there's a whole like audience of people that are looking for you, your style, who you are. We are all for somebody, honey. We may not be for everybody.
But we're for somebody.
But we are for somebody.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
There's enough people in this world. And that's the one thing that I say. And tell me a little bit more about what you think about this. So there's a lot of competition in this world about like, trying to be better and trying to one up somebody or try to show that you're like, I know there's a lot of mixed messages. Like a lot of people, not a lot of mixed perspectives. A lot of people say, competition is healthy and it's good, right? And I do agree with that. But sometimes how can that stop us from moving forward? How has it stopped you or any of you in the chat from moving forward, feeling like you had to compete and compare yourself to somebody else, knowing you felt the shift, what you have, you've been working through all these things, just like Anika shared, like she shared all these different backgrounds that actually have come together to craft something amazing and beautiful, which is today, honey, like right now, and probably way more than what we expect, but we're living in right now. How do you get over that like bridge, that hump that says, oh, there's so many people doing what I'm doing. I need this for myself right now. So go ahead.
Well, I mean, we have to recognize the voice, right? Where is it coming from? Because that doubt, we do not have a spirit of fear. We have a bold spirit that has been given to us first and foremost, correct?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am. So then two, even though it's reiterated and we know, right, that even if I had this conversation with family before. I'm like, even if they do exactly right, the program looks exactly the same. They're doing SEL, they're implementing Zeta with the SEL. They're still not Anika. They're not me. So they can never bring the personality that I bring to it, all of my nerdhood and nerdship, all these words and all the stuff I know, right? They can't do it like I can, just like period. Like the end, really and truly. Because it's just not going to be then like I also know in my specific task and business and walk, my thoughts have been given to me by God. I always, when people say, "Oh, that was a good one," I said, "That's a God thought though." So I already know that if it came from him, if it's divine,
Mm.
who gonna check me, boo?
Who gonna check me, boo? Who
Okay.
ah! That's what I need to hear. Y'all know I'm crazy. Y'all know I'm crazy. And listen, I'm gonna tell you right now how important family is, right? You were talking about your family. Here go my dad. He comes and he gives me a little paper with some words to say. So I'm gonna read his words because this is what he would say if he was in the chat.
Okay.
Knowing you are the only key that fits that lock. No
I mean, well,
competition.
let's snap it up for Dad. We talked about some
Okay, Dad.
fingerprints earlier.
Okay, Dad. Listen, we're gonna be knowing that you are the only key that fits that lock, no competition. So you don't have to compare yourself. And you
Sure.
can be you without having to think like, oh, dang, I need to change this. You actually can get better. I feel like that helps, right? Like you can look at what other people are doing and say, oh, okay, you know what?
Iron sharpening iron. Yes, ma'am.
Say it.
Well, but even listen to this though. So you're making me think about, you know, I always, a lot of times when we speak as adults, when I'm talking to adults, honestly, I have a habit of thinking about our youth, our adolescents. And so these are conversations that we have, but if we look at our young people, we know that they haven't internalized this, right? We know that it is constant comparison. Like we might come on social media, yes, to do some entertainment, but a lot of people use it for education, right? And information, depending on your age demographic,
Okay.
right?
Okay.
But the young people is purely entertainment. So it's a lot of the comparison game, a lot of the curated content, right? Presenting what they want others to see, whether or not it's accurate. So again, like this work with the subscription box, the course, a lot of this, like the very first section is self-awareness, because we have to start with that. Right. I think so I say this sometimes. I tell the young people, y'all like to go live, but y'all won't live.
Oh, let's just pause. Sila.
Okay.
Sila. My dad over there talking about something.
So we had to let it marinate for a minute, right?
Oh, can we write that in the chat? Okay, so just say that again. Like, we need repetition. So I'm all
Look,
about repetition.
no worries. I'll say it again. And look, it's an ebook coming to you soon, right? The young people going live, not living. So definitely working to fix that. But it again has to come with that self-awareness, that awareness of self. So that's where the work starts, right? So
that's where it starts. I'm going to take a look in here in the chat because I love the way that you brought it back, like what we were talking about. You tied it right back into the classroom, right back into the students, and how you serve, you've served children and young people for so long to understand these truths. One thing you said that was so powerful, you said so many things so powerful, but one thing that resonated with me was that, oh, thank you, Tasha. She put, you want to go live, but you're not living. Thank you. I started to write it.
Seriously though.
One of the things that resonated with me was that sometimes we think the children get it already. We got to remember that we have like there's some development that just because our children seem so much more mature than we are today, and because they're talking more like, seemingly just
okay. I'm gonna call time out for a minute, Robin. I'm gonna call time out for a minute. So I have conversations a lot, especially on that cusp of middle school, right? Early middle school, then about to matriculate to high school. Not necessarily that the children are mature, but they're exposed to a lot more. And there is a huge difference.
Yes,
and
I love that.
we use them interchangeably, but we really shouldn't. We should not. We really shouldn't. So
they seem to know, but they don't know.
And they're projecting what they think adulthood is, or okay, I'm in 8th grade now, so I'm supposed to this and this, but it's not true maturation. It's just it's a reflection of sorts, a reflection of what they think, or have heard, or again have been exposed to. So
yes, Tony, I said yes. Exposure does not equate maturity. Exposure and maturity are not always the same thing, and it's the reason why sometimes we run before we might walk, and we come back like, wait a minute, I gotta go backward because I've been exposed to something that doesn't necessarily mean that, you know, I got it and I have it all together. And when we think, let's kind of go back to something you shared earlier, you know, training and development and how important that is, because you were talking about a subscription box and really having courses and things. How important it is actually learning what you're exposed to, how to do it well. One of the things, and so keep that question in mind, for everybody educate, that's really what we're all about: equitable and excellent, equity and excellence, right? Mm-hmm. Equitable, excellent practice. And excellence doesn't mean that I know something, I talk really well, I can tell you, I can say this, I can do certain things, so I can do it on the surface. It really means that you're going through an excellent process and that you're able to fail and still get back up. And, you know, there's so many things that excellence means. Talk a little bit about why it's so important for that development and the training piece and all those skills that you have. How has that like brought you to that space to do that? Because yeah.
I mean, okay, look, I'm like, where to start? So one thing is, I always say that kids hold up mirrors to us, right? So when people are like, those kids are acting crazy, but what they're really telling us or showing us, especially, is what we haven't taught them, right? So that's why that training piece is that much more important. We're making it plain for them so they can become aware of it and apply it, because they don't know what they don't know. So how are they going to apply it in situations, right, that they're familiar with, then yet alone unfamiliar situations, right? So one of my most favorite projects that I used to do was something called Literacy Partners, where I would take my big kids, my 7th and 8th graders, and at least once a month, they would go read to the little kids at the different elementary schools. And it was so much fun. And they were always very kind of apprehensive at first, but they would get into it. Is it almost time for Literacy Partners, right? But, you know, it was multiple purpose, right? So they were going to build their confidence in reading, work on a lot of those soft skills, those people skills, those being able to shift, right? That they would start to emulate their reading teachers and ask certain kind of questions, right, of the little people. So also helping them reflect more and practice those reading skills, those true literacy skills. But also, and maybe I shouldn't have enjoyed this part so much, Robin, but it was another moment of reflection, but two-pronged reflection, okay? So it was reflection where literally, right, cognitive reflection, but then two, of course, those big kids ran into little kids that acted like some of them. What? Miss Jones, Miss Jones, Kingston keeps talking while I'm trying to read to him. And I said, what? I have no idea what that is like. How did that make you feel? Right? So again, literally sometimes holding up that mirror to them, and so making them reflect so they would have a whole different approach in class, because now they know, oh, this is really how it comes across. They're not just fussing, they're really trying to do something, and I'm messing them up. I mean, listen, it was a big deal, but I used to love those moments, I'll be honest, when the little people gave it to them. Mm-hmm.
That right there, I'm over here just like having a time, because if you were at my school with me, you would see that like we literally are doing almost exactly the same thing. So
we're kindred spirits.
Like it's crazy. So like we've been doing learning buddies, and and one of the reasons why my middle school teacher and I, so I've been coaching, we've been like trying to find some ways. I've been coaching her through engagement with the 6th through 8th grade, because honey, they are at the end of the year, not even end of the year, they just been something. So we've been putting in place this last few months learning buddies with the 5th grade and then with the kindergarten and all that, and almost the exact same thing that you just described, because our 8th graders are like, they're sitting there like, he's not listening, he's not, oh, is that right? Okay. Right. But the beauty part about it,
that kindergarten attention span,
honey, it will teach them to get themselves together. And that's the thing about like authentic learning, project-based learning. Like it is so important that we're not just doing a sit and get for children and right. and expect them, they're just not getting their film. No, we've got to expose them to other opportunities. If they're not engaged, let's find other ways that they can be engaged. Ask them, right? Well, how do you want to be engaged? And then mix that, because one of the biggest like changes that have happened the last couple months is that some of the middle school kids who are just fooling around. My one little boy, Chaz, love him. he gets on my nerves though, because I don't really do middle school like that as much as
What?
I,
Wait, Robin, that's my people.
I'm just gonna be
That's
real.
my people now. All right, go easy, go easy.
I'll
Those are
come
my
real
people.
easy. So I've always said I don't really do middle school because there's attitudes in their mouths. But it's like the biggest thing that God has led me to in this last year and a half. Like, yeah, you're gonna do middle school, honey. You're gonna do it. And I absolutely do love it. So secretly I love it. And I tell them, I say, y'all know I don't really like y'all like that. So don't be coming up in my face. And so, but no, those are my babies. But they're like, Miss Queen, Miss Queen. And so I'm like, okay, you about to go and be a leader in the classroom, in the third grade classroom. I'm gonna need you to get it together. So when we're working in groups in the class and in with the teacher and in the classroom, we want to train and develop you so that you can do the same for others. And I feel like that's so powerful. And that is one thing for everybody educated. We believe everybody's educated. They should all be prepared, and children deserve to be prepared so that they can carry on that legacy. And so I just love the energy and the power in what you're doing in real time with engagement. And so I just wanted to put that out there. You go on. Is there anything you want to add?
I mean, but I'm saying exactly that. Like the more we teach them about themselves, then we can really teach them, period. Right. So like once they understand and they know, like their strengths, what they need to work on, then we can truly teach them. So not just, academia, but life stuff, right? Those communications, those conflict resolution skills, those I statements, right? That was fun when the students would start to practice that, when I could literally hear in the hallway, well, I feel embarrassed because you said you. Remember, you can't say you, so they would correct each other as well. And it was just really big moment. So even that, like even being part of a discipline committee because of the practices I was trying to make sure to put in place on the campuses. Like it was just, God knows what he's doing, right? Because I'm like, y'all want me on a discipline committee. I don't even fool. I don't want, I don't want to do ISS and I don't write referrals like that and all that. They were like, but that's why. Like, what do so making sure that the practices that I do, that more people are aware of them and could implement them so that overall the building was more successful.
Okay, this is where we pause. Because you've dropped so many like gems, and I just love the flow. And I can literally feel the shift even in our conversation, because it's not about a bunch of theory, right? All the time. We need the theory. We need the theory, because sometimes hush your mouth. I was gonna say something, but sometimes some people think they know everything in the schools. And it's a shame, because when you can't be open to learn and grow, and you just believe that what you believe, how are you believing listening to your children and seeing what they see? When I talk about equity and culturally responsive teaching and things like that, how can someone who is so closed-minded and say, no, this is how it is, it's my way or the highway, it still could be your way or the highway, but your way must shift in a way that with the children in front of you, because it should be a community of learners. And so I just feel like this is where we pause and really kind of see some of these experiences that you're sharing, experiences connected to the theory of how we can teach and how we can do things. You're sharing like proven things that are still happening today. And I think that is where the big shift is. Children are tired of us talking to them.
Listen,
saying, go,
Robin,
go, right, go. Tag, you're it.
Yes, tag me in. I'm off the ropes. Okay. So one of the things that will come up often, and that's like, because I would ask the kids for feedback, and I found out how different that was. Like, when's the first time you evaluated a course? College? Probably. So imagine evaluating and your teacher asking you about what you like and you don't like about class. Imagine, I'm gonna clear my throat, right? Because I also talk to and support the parents. Parents, imagine asking your adolescent, okay, well, what are some things you like that mom and dad do? What are some things that you want to do more of, less of? Just having those, because it's a lot of directives, right? So again, I think I've talked about this on some of my lives. Life turns into compliance, and they get used to nothing but compliance, and you're wondering why a certain emotion isn't evoked, why they seem nonchalant, why they seem, because the people really connect with them, or they expected them to fit into a box and look like they were doing something, so another box could be checked. I mean, I don't know. That's how I've come to articulate and observe it.
if you don't know, like if you just know in there, like, oh yeah, I do that, and you don't really understand to put into practice. And I feel like this is where we've got to start to think about how we're changing education and the way we evaluate ourselves and reflect. We got to move from this whole evaluation space for like, did I just get stuff done and check off a box? Because what happens is sometimes I see that teachers are too busy thinking about what their evaluator is going to say, like, oh,
they're missing those teachable moments. I know it.
Missing those teachable moments. And you know what? There's hope. There's hope. It is time. It is a good time to shift. And I've been there where I had to check myself where I thought I knew. And I had to, I remember when I was coming up early in my career, and I'm like, I have all this excitement. You already know. See, so I'm getting older now, right? And so I have excitement like this. Imagine my excitement back then when I was like, okay, let's do it. And I'm like that. And I'm putting all these things in place. And it's like, hold up. This is a lot. I still kind of do that, but now I do it with intentionality and making all those connections. And I've had lots of success of failing and then actually getting back up and saying, oh, Robin, maybe you needed to get them one thing at a time. Because it's like, don't assume they know. Somebody put that in the chat. Who put that in the chat? Don't assume.
I think Tasha did. A while back. Yeah.
Don't just assume that, So I'm looking at some of these, looking at some of these comments in here, and you all are just amazing. I'm seeing, so it said that it's hard for educators to digest some of the things that we're saying. It is, but because we have a system that even beyond just educator, I don't feel like educators don't want to engage children unless you really just are not a great educator. You just like sit down, I'm gonna be on my computer. Like I'm not talking to, I always say this, I'm not talking to educators who don't care. Like that's not okay. That's not okay. But it is hard for educators to digest, just like you said, and there's some of these concepts whenever they haven't really been held accountable to do them, or even been taught by somebody who actually really knows to do it. Sometimes we look good on paper, and then you get to the implementation part and the kids are like, dude, you suck. But I hate to say that, but I'm gonna be honest. Kids say that. They come and they actually say it. They will check you.
No one can tell me what a kid won't say. I will say that. No one can tell me what a kid's not gonna. Yes, they will. They sure will.
I've had kids check me, and I'm like, and I said, but you know what? Let me take that. That's feedback, right? So sometimes feedback isn't always like, look, what did you think? Sometimes they'll say, Miss Queen, you just told us to be off our phone. Why aren't you? Like it could be something like that, Or like I'm telling the student I had, I said, stay focused, get to work. What are you doing? You keep on looking at what I'm doing. Get to work. 10 minutes later, I get off focus because I got like something. He was like, Miss Queen, stay focused, get to work.
But that's what I feel like, they reflect, but really and truly kids reflect. So whether or not we recognize it, right, as feedback, they're reflecting what we gave them and did not give them all at the same time. Are we thinking about it that way? Are we understanding it that way? Are we just like, oh, I didn't ask you that. Get back to work.
You stay in your place.
Right. Mind your business. All those.
Yep. Well, I'm like, okay, I have a couple more questions I want to ask you, and then we can just free flow if you want to say anything else. If there's anybody who has anything in the chat that wants to say or want to ask Anika, because I really want to talk a little bit about who you do serve and who, and I feel like we've been talking about it the whole time, but if you want to say it again for the people who might just be jumping back on, watching a replay. You're here, everybody. Educate with the Queen Educator. Hello, yours truly. And I have the most amazing, brilliant, beautiful mind of Anika Jones.
You're such a theater person. Those British accents, theater people slipping for their British accents so quick, and I love it. I can spot it a mile away. I love it.
My family, my sisters, they do that all the time. That gets on my nerves, and then I find myself doing it. I'm like talking and I'm like, oh my goodness, because they'll do it for like a long period of time. They won't stop. I'm like, just stop. But let me just look in the chat a little bit more, because there's just been a lot of love in this chat. I just want to give it up for y'all who are in the chat that are visiting.
It sure has.
Come on. Yes. I like Fridays. I'm gonna have to change the days to Friday nights, honey. Cause okay, anyway. It says, Ero says, it is great that your approach to discipline was recognized as effective.
Oh, Errol.
Mhm.
That's yeah, that's my
Errol.
godmother. That's my name
Aw.
from
I'm
New
sorry,
York.
I'm still saying your name incorrect.
Uh-huh.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, honestly, the whole discipline piece just kind of throws a lot of the stuff that we
Mhm.
keep on trying to say and help teachers with. At the end of the day, they're like, I don't want to hear any of this. The kids are just acting up and they just don't.
But
And
there's
it's like,
always a why. There's always a reason. I've even
there's
had a
always a reason
conversation
why.
with a fifth grader about that last week. She said, "You always talk to people after they were acting crazy. Why?" I said, "Before that, I said, I told you what my favorite question is." She said, "So you just asked them why?" And I was like, "Yes, I asked them why." I was like, "That's a big reaction. Tell me what really happened. What are you really upset about? Or why did you do that?" I said, "Yes." I said, "But it's always something else. It's never whatever you thought, what you saw immediately. If it's a big reaction, it's always something else." And so, you asked earlier again, who do I serve? So yes, I support educators, campus leaders, central office, parents, right? Because we all work together to support young people. But again, I also have that sweet spot for middle school because that's why I've had a chunk of my educational career, but I also have some upper elementary experience now as well. But all those different groups, so youth organizations, just anyone that is really working and supporting, loving on, trying to encourage young people, because sometimes, like you said, we don't know exactly what to do or how to do it. But I mean, yeah, so we need some help. We need some support sometimes. Sometimes we have to unlearn stuff, reset, reestablish, and then move forward. We can't just start with, well, I know we need to do something. So that's madness and that's chaotic. Like you've been saying a few times, Robin, we have to press pause. Yeah, sometimes we have to press pause and realize the accuracy of the picture and realize it's not what we thought it was, right? So then when it's not what you thought it was, then what? Okay. Sometimes I say this talking to some of my middle school parents. So make sure that what you want for your children, what you want them to be, your expectation doesn't supersede meeting them where they are, though. Because sometimes, right, we'll say, oh, well, you expect them to be this, this, and this. They're not there yet. So going back to that growth mindset, are we building in the tools to help them get there? Or are we just sitting back saying, well, I expect them to be there and it should magically rise?
The tools to help them get there. I want to make sure I put that in the chat. Are we building in the tools to help them get there?
Right, they need a bridge. If we build a bridge, if we scaffold on the academic side, and again, this is just how my mind works, right? So this is what the engineer and the social worker did. They did this. So we'll be like, why would it not be parallel, right? Why would it not be parallel? Like it's not compartmentalized. So much more about life is merged and they run in tandem. And I think the more we think about things that way, then yes, I think it could be really, really impactful. So, I realized that I've almost romanticized some things about yesteryear, but especially the sense of the community mindset, the village, right? So whether it was for financial things, for child raising, it was definitely much more of a village. So, Robin, you've heard me say before, we have to awaken the village. Like, I don't know if the village went to sleep, right? They took a sabbatical. I don't know, but it's time to wake up. We have to get reset and refocused back on that mindset. So yes, growth mindset, village mindset, all together.
Wake up, everybody. Wake up, everybody. Yes, listen, village mindset. I'm gonna put on here too, like hashtag village mindset. I don't even have the words to say, to just say thank you so much, and to just being obedient to how God had you like share today, because you just don't understand like the connection that is just so powerful in this movement. So let's go to movement really quickly. I feel like that's all I preach and say every day. Like we all have a part in here to play. And so the power of your business that you started, and about holistic, I kept questioning like, what really is holistic fluency? And I feel it in the energy that you brought today, the words that you said, the energy that you said, and the passion that you have behind it. what's one word or 2 or 3 words that describes your movement?
Like you're gonna give the word person one word. Oh my gosh.
I know. We can do it. We can do it.
We can do it. I'm gonna take 2 though, because you said maybe 2.
Yeah, 1, 2, or 3.
Okay, now you're tempting me now. Definitely synergy,
Okay.
right? That power in everyone coming together because it grows exponentially. 2, awareness. And 3, personalized, right? Academic side, we personalize learning for, okay, Robin is really good at proportions, but she needs a little practice with her percents. Okay, Robin's a good decision maker, but maybe she needs to work on her self-management a little more.
Yeah.
So everybody doesn't need all the same thing. Again, truly also on the SEL side as well.
Okay, so really pushing into that SEL. I heard a lot of that today. I heard a lot of self-awareness today, and it's just, I think it goes with the shift that we started with today when we were talking about just feeling something different in the atmosphere, and then getting into that implementation portion to really see the results, get to the roots of the children and their yet. I want to keep going back to, are we building the bridge to help students get to their yet? And listen, I did not realize I still had this little bridge thing up in the back. Y'all see my bridge in the back? I said to myself, let me take that down and put my little logo up. And someone was like, no, just leave it. And when you start talking about the bridge, I just start visualizing where our children might be. They might be on different places on that bridge. Do they know where they are on that bridge? So when you said self-awareness, do they know where they are on that bridge?
All these pieces though, right? So they need a bridge. Do they know they need a bridge?
Do they know?
Are they still standing on the other side? Are they expecting a plane to come when it's a bridge? Right? Especially the kids are used to things being quick, but this work is work. So it's not going to be a plane. It's a bridge. You're going to have to walk, maybe ride a bike sometimes, but it's not going to be a plane. It's not going to be quick. And it's going to be ongoing.
Exactly. And then you'll find portions of yourself where you're like, oh, you have a little bit more momentum than you did when you first started on the bridge, because it's starting to click. Come on now. When I'm trying to tell you mindset, movement, and momentum, what are you guys thinking about this? Like, are you discovering how you can really unlock the mindset in which and in the ways in which we teach or help to educate our students? Are you educating your children, your grandchildren in ways that are being mentioned today? Do they know why behind why they might be in trouble, or why they're not getting the grades that they want? Children want to know. My middle school student, and I keep talking about middle school because I keep telling you I don't really like middle school, but I did. I'm starting to love them so much. They're like, Miss Queen, why did I get this? I don't understand. Why did I get this on my map test? I want to know why. Like, but why? They want to know why. And then and I'll never forget, the principal came in one day, and I was doing like a data chat with the middle school student. And he was like, oh, I want to just pause real quick. And I want to ask the student if he wants to be a part of the sports team. Cause we do like to pull in the things that they love, but it can't always be about, sports and all, like those are great things, but we want to give them the passion for education, for learning and love of themselves learning, so that they can be lifelong learners. Don't get me started. But he came in and we were deep in conversation with data, and he was like, do you want to try something new? He was like, no, I'm okay, I'm good. And he turned back around, but what are the things? I said, okay, you're doing something right then. You're doing something right, teaching them that it's important too. This is important too. And I, in my mind, I was getting upset because I was like, man, I was right there with him. I was getting them because we were going to be taking the next map tests not too long after. And I want him to go in there with intentionality and about what he needs to work on. Because he's like, why is that on the board over there? Why does that say RL, reading literature? That's the area that you need to work on. Okay, well, what does that mean? those are things that are so important. And so we're dropping all these jewels for y'all so that you can
We are,
discover the
because it's a
importance
lot.
of it.
Because that was a question I often asked with the educators I supported this year. I was like, okay, so y'all know what the kids have to learn. Like, when do we let them know that, y'all, this is the plan for this 6 weeks, for this unit, you need to learn this, this, and this. I said, when do they have like the roadmap? When do they get to reflect this, check, okay, okay, no, not yet, right? Growth mindset. This one is tight, good. I said, but that's the thing though. So that's another one of those moments where, again, the young people are making all these decisions and just talking, and it's just like stuff just flying by. Not, not that, age appropriately, not that they have to be included in everything, every conversation, every step of the way. Be clear, right? I'm not saying that, but I mean, their education, why they should be included. They should, whether it's their academic side or the SEL side, right? And give it the same thing, giving that feedback. So, okay, that was a big reaction. So we're going to continue to work on controlling ourselves, our self-management, right? But you did make a good decision earlier, such and such, such and such. Same
all
thing.
of it matters. All of yes. Because I often hear, and I want to share something that was in the chat too. But I often hear like, oh, they're just low. This child is low, and it is discouraging when you're trying to do a lot to help children, and you're not seeing a lot of growth. But imagine how that child feels. Like, I love the voice of advocacy that we're having for children tonight. Like, it's amazing. Imagine how a child feels.
Me of something, I think it's Tamara. I think Tamara said.
She's in the chat. Hey,
Tamara. Yeah. I think Tamara said it was, I don't know what it was on. It was maybe look, some of our text messages and things, but she talked about the, a lot of people say the learning gap.
Yes.
But one day she said it was more of a delay. And for me, that was like a huge light bulb, like atom bomb went off, because they are going to get it, right? But it'll just take a little bit longer maybe than what we had become accustomed to. And the thing was, I was like, that was super smart. That was so smart of her to say, because on the academic side, we were like, oh, they lost. That's what it was, a loss, right? They lost 2 years, but SEL, we were like, oh, they're just going to be delayed. Yeah, we're talking about the same kids. So how is it two different things? We're talking about the same kids. So how is it a delay on one side, but a loss on the other, versus they're going to get all of it eventually? Just growth mindset. Where are we practicing our growth mindset if we're labeling it,
say that,
a loss? And like you said, what do the kids carry with them if they hear this all the time? How are they going to carry that and internalize that? Well, I'm not expected to do that well anyway, because.
Yep. And there's your behavior things starting to happen. I'm not really part of this. That's not for me. The teachers are talking to me, or I have to wait until somebody comes in and pulls me out. Like, low expectations, honey. And sometimes that says a lot about us as educators. I really want to help educators see that maybe they might have dealt with that themselves and never really, came over that. I have a story of a teacher really quickly that he's brilliant. He is brilliant. And so the work that I've done with him this school year, has been challenging for me. I thought it would be challenging because he's always talking negative about himself. And so he was like, I just can't do that, Queen. Like, I was never smart, like when I was in school. But he would sit in these meetings in our PLCs, and he would be the one coming up with the most amazing things. I'm like, I ain't gonna say his name, Mr. What? I had to pull him aside one day. And I said, I just want to say to you, you always are down on yourself and you're saying what you can't do, because that translates to the kids too. And you may not go as far as you want to go, or have them go as far as, if you're not really well in that space for yourself and haven't had that together. And he's like, no, it's just that I was in like classes when I was younger that were, that I needed more support, and I wasn't told this. I said, well, I'm telling you today. And look, I get bold with my teachers, honey, because no, just like I do with my students. No, I'm telling you today what you said, and here's the data. When we were in that meeting, you brought up something that was shifting and changing for the other teachers. You brought up something that I forgot all about, and it was something that I really felt like was needed in the space, but sometimes coming from the coach, it's like, okay, well, you're not always in the classroom. And
Mhm.
well, I am, but sometimes, but every single minute of the day, like it's a little bit different. I said, but because it came from you, it shifted your colleagues and your peer, like your team's mindset. And you're talking about all the time, you don't know and you can't do it. And so I think there's power in advocating for the student's voice, but there's power in advocating for the teacher's voice as well. And that's a lot of the area I'm working with right now, because I'm doing that so that the teachers can be well. So the students can be well. Teachers need to be well so students can be well.
Exactly. The work starts with the adults, so not just the teachers. So again, I mentioned parents a couple times as well, because whatever, we can be doing great work in our safe space, or like in Texas, we stay up at the schoolhouse, right? But it has to be balanced out and supported and understood and everything else at home. Like I loved doing the community events. We would do winter wonderland things. I even taught Zumba sometimes after school. It started out with just the kids at first, but then parents wanted to come. So, just getting, again, various ways to establish and build that relationship that eventually became, okay, now we can have all of these deep conversations, but that's where the work always starts. That's where we start our work with the adults in the spaces with the young people, whether it's parents or educators, because a lot of times there's a lot of misconceptions of what you thought they said. That's not how they meant it, because maybe you carried, like you said, you carried your own trauma, honestly, aggressions, past experiences, and you bottled all that up. And one person said this one thing, this one phrase, all that came out, and it had nothing to do with that.
All of the wealth of knowledge. So I said this in another interview, and I'm going to say it to you because it's coming up again. And I think it might have been Tony. And hi, Tony. Tony's on here. She said sometimes teachers don't know they have low expectations. That's powerful
very
right
true.
there.
And it's coming from our math lady. And Tony, the math in me is right next to the SEL in me. So, like I said, the data on both sides. So you can see it. So like we talked earlier about observations and things. So based on the observations on both sides, the academic side and the social emotional side, right? We can see the expectations. Are we expecting the kids to just be wild and crazy and not able to express themselves? Are we expecting them to reflect and want to know why they didn't get this correct, and understand and work towards a plan, right, to get to where they want to be, where we want them to be, and where they need to be?
They go hand, yes. And I didn't finish my sentence of this because I want to say this to you. Your journey, your wealth is in your journey. And I keep on saying that this just can't, that's like my thing for the last couple of months, like this second quarter. I've just been telling that to everybody in here and saying your journey, your wealth is in your journey. Your journey is your wealth. Your journey is your wealth. This beautiful, bright, brilliant, young, amazing woman-owned business certified, all the amazingness. All the wealth of her journey is what she brings to this table, and then some. Like we're sitting on here and we're talking to you, and it's almost an hour at this point. We can keep going for days, and we're gonna hold some of this a little bit because we can probably have part two. I kept hearing in my mind, I kept hearing in my spirit earlier. Okay. We're gonna have to have a part two. I was hearing that before we even got on, because I just felt so full already before I even came, because I said I felt full, like I like with expectation, right? And on here, I think it was Sheila. Thank you. Yeah,
that's my mama. Shout out to my mom.
Hi, mama. She said, "What are the children carrying and internalizing?" And I feel like that's a whole part two. You know why? Because why do we do what we do? And when we think about you shared so many stories, so many just ways about going about like coming together and working together. The shift is here. It is a must. It is a must that you connect. And if you're a parent right now watching, it is a must that you connect with people like Anika, myself, and there are other consultants here on the line, on the live, or over here. Tony is on here. Tasha's on here. The people, there's so many people that, I feel like are talking about SEL, that are talking about how to help families and things like that. But I'm only bringing people on the table to the table. You got Tamir on here. Oh my gosh. I only connect myself with people who are really doing this from the core of their heart, to be honest with you, who really want to see our children well, who really want to see shifts in our education system, connect with parents, with teachers, with educators, with consultants who are really talking about moving to the next level so that we can get to the depths of where our children are, especially our middle school students. I want to tell you that it's a new day.
It can be super tricky. So again, I told you I believe in the village, and I'm trying not to just like romanticize it, but truly like the village when it was a thing right before things were interrupted and shifted, a lot of different factors, and not to ignore the factors, but we must press ahead. We have to adjust now, reset, and forge ahead. Right?
Yes.
Because it's too valuable. It's too many benefits in it that we cannot continue to forego the village. That's my hashtag, awaken the village,
Okay, let's put it hashtag. Look, I'm trying to keep up and keep up. Like, I thought I was words girl, and I had a lot, honey, this woman right here, okay, just dropping it. And I love it. And I'm so grateful, because all week I just been feeling in my spirit that there has to be a shift in our education system. We cannot just do business as normal. We cannot just expect and say like, accept anything without understanding. Like, parents, you need to know why your children are getting what they're getting or not getting what they're getting. Teachers, you need to know that there are options and resources available out there so that you can be well, so that you can build your capacity, and you do not need to be ashamed and say, I've been doing this for 20 years and I didn't even know that that's how you do this part. Don't be ashamed. It's okay, because we come from a space where we really didn't get all of that all the time. We got a lot of good stuff, but we got good stuff, but we're going into, and we've been coming into a whole new world. And so we've got to get more, and we've got to connect it with the good stuff that we've got before, or that we received before, and even throw away some of the stuff that doesn't work. If it doesn't work, stop holding on to stuff. Stop holding on to old ways of a system that was built to sit down, shut up, and listen. And I'm talking, and you're not. No. You can have and embrace things like that. And when it comes to listen in a respectful way for our children, to really, because some of them think out loud, and some of them want to have discussions. That was the old days when it was like, be seen and not heard. Come on,
right.
Okay, well, sorry, I can go on for days.
Something you said, look, I'm gonna say this and I'm gonna leave it alone. But you made me think of a quote when you said, if the system's not working. But even, you remember a quote from Black Panther, just because something works doesn't mean it can't be improved. Do you remember that line? That one stayed with me when I watched the movie. Okay, that was, yeah.
Let's sit with that, because we always are talking about things that are broken, but there are things that are working but still can be improved. There's certain people that I've worked with who are like, listen, I don't like the computer programs. I hate them. There's power in those computer programs, and there's power in leveraging that with students, but there's also power in, what this teacher, I think she was a reading specialist. She would say, no, but there's power in the face-to-face. I'm like, absolutely. But there's power in it all, and it all can be improved. And there's power at the end of the day in finding out what students bring to the table, what their voices are saying, how they're shifting and changing, what they like, what they don't like. There's power on. There's power in differentiating the learning for your teachers, and they're not having PDs that don't matter.
I did my master's. My master's capstone paper was on that. Teacher professional development and the need for differentiation. It was.
And there's power in the system. I don't know who works in the system. There's power in listening to the principals' voices and the administrators' voices to say, our schools are falling apart, and y'all just keep giving us more stuff to do and not really taking the time to recraft some of this stuff. There's power in that's why I say everybody is educating somebody somewhere, or lack thereof, right? Or maybe not. And we've got to really get on board. And there was another, I got a text. Listen, my dad, he's filling out our stuff. He said, this is earlier when you said something, Anika, a road where academia meets common sense, meets empathy, embraces understanding, and brings implementation. My dad's a poet and didn't know it, honey. But something you said earlier, he wanted me to connect to that. I can't remember where it was in a conversation, but again, a road where academia meets common sense, meets empathy, embraces understanding, and brings implementation. I love it. Thank you. So thank you guys so much. I'm going to have you have some closing words. How can people get in contact with you? What's up and coming and new that they should be looking out for on your page? And I'm looking forward to working together more with you in the future. And yes, Anika Silja. I try to tell y'all weren't ready. This was fire tonight. Okay. Woo!
Listen. I said I'm going to drop our link tree in the chat in a minute. But what's coming up really and truly, y'all can expect some really good conversations from some, not just me, right? I can talk about it all day. And clearly after more than 14 years, I have plenty of stories, but very soon you'll hear from some of my young people that they experience, right, what was like the predecessor to the subscription box and the online course. And so they're going to talk about, what it meant for them, how it worked in their life, and how they're still applying it from 20 something on down to my high school kids now. But the subscription box is launching on Juneteenth. It'll be a virtual event. There's some information coming up soon for that. So make sure that you check out the link for recipes, a rite of passage. I'll drop it here in a minute and we'll tag it and everything to the live for the replay. But Robin, thank you so much for orchestrating this. Anika, I want to talk to you, want to make sure you tell your story, but like what you're doing, the information you want to get out is tremendous. It's absolutely great. It really is. And thank you so much.
And thank you. And thank you, audience. Thank you, family, that showed up and showed up strong. Yes, that's what I'm talking about. Thank you, our consulting network friends that showed up too and showed up strong. Thank you for all your wisdom as well. And if anybody wants to like have an interview, so for June, I'm opening up, like I've been handpicking the people just to kind of really start us off. But if there's any teachers that would like to tell their story, I want you to be able to come and tell your story and, or even just ask questions, and you want me to answer some things, you want any of the speakers that I've had in May and June to come back and talk more, please believe that's what this is all about. We really want to help support you in moving forward. And we really want to help see the education system shift with equitable and excellent practices all around. So thank you, Anika. Thank you, Holistic Fluency. We appreciate you all for taking your time and taking the extra time and being with us tonight on a Friday night live, honey.
Yes, thank you so much for sharing y'all's Friday. Yes.
Yes, thank you. Bye, everybody. We'll see you later. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Did you get my text?